Hello, everyone. My name is Sumeet Verlekar. I'm the founder of Tilden Global Education. We are a premier education consulting firm, and we work with clients all around the world, almost 37 plus countries. Plus, we also operate in multiple cities around the world. So, we have a very special guest today, a client who has secured an admit in the Wharton Deferred MBA program. So, this is Maitree. Congratulations, Maitree, and welcome.
Thank you so much.
So, Maitri, the first thing, first and foremost, right? Getting into Wharton and the MBA program is super selective, as you know, right? So, one of the first things that people often ask us is, what's your profile? What's the profile of the person who got in, right? So let's make that our first question, right? So, could you maybe take a minute or two to share about your profile in detail so that the viewers, the listeners who are listening to it, will find it useful to understand who you are and where you're coming from?
Right. Hi, I am Maitree Shandilya. I am a final year undergrad, recently graduated from IIT Delhi, majoring in electrical engineering. And I am an upcoming technical program manager at Microsoft India. Speaking a bit about my profile, I interned at Google in my second year as a software developer, and then at Microsoft in my third year as a technical program manager. About the PORs, I did not hold as many PORs in my college, but yes, I was the founder and the overall coordinator of the Electrical Engineering Society there. And I think other than that, I was engaged in social activities outside college. So I think that's it about my profile.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maitri. Uh, could you talk about the decision to apply, right? Obviously, making a decision so early in your career, right, regarding applying to an MBA program is a pretty big decision. So, where were you coming from when you were thinking about? Because as we just like heard, right, you were a, a very sharp technical profile from that perspective, right? Your experiences have been largely technical. So then MBA becomes very interesting. So maybe tell us about the thought process and why you decided to apply for an MBA.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Basically, it was after my internship at Google in my second year, where I interned as a software developer. The company culture was terrific. The work was very good. It was very cutting edge. But I somehow felt that I'm a bit more of a people's person, and I'm always inclined towards the business side of things. And strict technical domain was just not the thing for me. And I also noticed a pattern in my 2 years of college. Like, I was very much interested in the people side of things, the business side of things. So that was always this. I think it comes from my childhood, where I come from Jharkhand, the tribal state of Jharkhand. So I was always keen on starting an education technology company in the education sector, because it helped me a lot in my preparations. So that was my overall goal, and for that I felt that business intelligence is absolutely needed. So that's when, after my internship in second year, I decided that I want to move to the business side of things, and hence I was sure that someday I have to get an MBA.
Okay. So now going to ask you $1 million question, right? Which we always get asked is, what are my chances? You're like, here's my profile, right? Or here is who I am. What are my chances of getting it, right? Now that you've been through the process, right? How, if you could maybe, I'm sure you went through this particular question. How did you self-evaluate, your chances, or if you were competitive enough?
Right. So that's actually $1 million question. If there's one word that I can, use to describe the process, it's unpredictable. Like, I remember even when I had my first call with you, I had the same question. So what are my chances? Should I apply? And you just said that your profile is good, but everything is not very certain, but you should definitely give it a try. So I think that is now that I'm here, I feel that is the actual answer. I think it's very unpredictable. I have seen into like SW but not making into any other colleges. I have seen friends who have not gotten into M7 but have gotten into Michigan Ross. So I think it's all very unpredictable. But yeah, I think any professionals like you can evaluate the profiles. I think that's the best way to evaluate somebody's profile.
Yeah, and I think that's a great That, I mean, it's truly difficult to absolutely pinpoint your specific percentage chances, Um, when actually people come to me, Maitri, right? It's only about 30% people that I actually encourage to apply. The remaining 70%, I actually end up telling them either not to apply or apply later, right? When they have addressed some gaps in their profile. But you certainly had a lot of positives because of which you were among the 30% that I encouraged to apply. So and here we are. So I'm very happy that you were able to take that step, right? The application process is always going to be somewhat of a risk, right? As you mentioned, it's very, very unpredictable. Right now, we even have somebody who got into a Harvard Business School, right? But was not, did not get interview calls from any other school this year, right? So, and that never happens in an Indian context, especially because we are a very test-based society, right? So the test score determines where you get. Whereas in this case, the test score is one of the important parameters, but it is not the only parameter, which makes it a little difficult, of course. But there were a lot of really good things in Maitree's profile. Specifically, she had a very good competitive score. She had very, very good experiences, right? Microsoft, Google, like really known brands. She had a very competitive GPA as well. What she had done in terms of her college, IIT Delhi, right? And while she's right that she did not have a lot of positions of responsibility, but the one that she had, right, which we used a lot in our story, right, was quite meaningful, isn't it? That ways. And then there were a lot of other things about her personality, her background that we also leveraged. So I think cumulatively, when
Right.
we evaluate, so in fact, I think I ended up answering this question, but I guess Maitri also had told you about you guys about her profile. So I'm basically picking on what Maitri talked about and trying to like just let you know that these are some of the ways that you can self-evaluate, right? Whether you have a competitive GPA, a competitive test score, if you have experiences which are relevant to your story and your goal, right? Have you had any leadership or impact sort of positions or experiences, right? These are, of course, among the many, many other things that we look at, but these are some of the primary things that you can look at for sure. Maitri, do you want to add anything? Have I missed out on any specific thing, or maybe you want to maybe add some more context behind what I just said?
Yeah, no, no, not really. You covered it all. It's just more about not about what you have as your extracurriculars that matters, but more than that, it how you portray it and what actually impactful you have done in that tenure. I think it that matters more to them. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
that.
Thank you, Maitri. Thank you so much. So, like a lot of people who go through the process, right? And this is for full-time MBA, deferred MBA, MFin, MIM. Again, a very similar question that people have while applying to all of these programs are, what were the apprehensions, right? Nobody is like 100% certain. And there are many questions, many doubts that we have. So, what
Right.
were some of the apprehensions that you had, right, before you started this
Yeah.
process?
So I think I shared this with you as well. I was a bit worried about 2 3 points in the profiles. The first one was that I did not have much of an international exposure, so that was a point of concern for me. In terms of grades, I think no grade is the absolute best. You said my grades were good, but I always felt that it could have been better. So that was another thing. Third thing was in terms of PORs, I had three very meaningful PORs, possessions of responsibility, but I just felt that maybe I could have gotten more. So I think there are always a bit of gaps in the profiles. Those were my apprehensions. But yeah, again, I think that if you feel that you have an above 50 chance of getting into these colleges, you should apply. Like there's nothing to lose, especially in the final year when you're applying for deferred MBA, there's nothing to lose really. So
Great. So again, moving further in the process, right? Did you have any apprehensions about the entire application process as such? Of course, besides your profile, moving away from
yeah,
your profile.
Yeah, so the application process were full of apprehensions. So because it's mainly because Indian students are not used to this application process. As you said, we are a very test-based community. Like we scored a certain score, and then we are going to get admitted to whatever colleges. But the application process from the very beginning, it started first of all essays and very restrictive essays like 300 words, 350 words, and what the college is expecting us to write in those 300 words, we have absolutely no clue. The second is the letter of recommendation. Again, in the Indian community, getting a good LOR, people do not even know the definition of what good is. Right. So
Mm,
let alone writing, matlab, encouraging the professors to write a good LOR. It's very difficult.
mm,
So
mm,
these two things. Other than that, I think, like juggling, because when you apply to 7, 8 colleges. So juggling 7, 8 colleges, that is around 16 to 20 essays in that 3 months time. So,
yeah.
planning that timeline, that is again a major challenge. And
Mm,
last but not the least, I think staying very hopeful in the process and staying emotionally strong, like no matter what. Sometimes when
mm.
you write the essays, you are just working and you're like, will I even get into, is it all worth it? And then you have to stay focused, stay positive, and stay on track. So for the application process, I think these four were my major apprehensions.
Okay, so now let's talk about your actual, experience in the entire application process. So obviously, without giving away the specific sequence or whatever it is, maybe generally talk about, how your experience were, what were the highs, what were the lows, and in general, how did you sort of approach in terms of timelines, period, and all that stuff.
Right. So I think the only thing I did, I will be very honest here, the only thing I did was to do what you told me. Means I did not very much care about the timelines because I knew that you and your team were looking into the timelines and sharing, my tasks accordingly. So timeline issue was sorted there. Other than that, while writing the essays, I feel, as you would remember, the first draft was always very raw. It was just thoughts put on
Yeah,
the paper,
correct.
and then we were told, like, you told us to highlight something, leave some part, delve into the specifics of some part. Like I still remember
Mm,
specifically for Wharton, in that essay, like why you for Wharton. And then you asked us to go 2, 3 levels deeper, like no, get some unique points, these
mm,
are
mm,
generic. So I think that were the sort of stuffs in the essays. And
mm,
as for the LORs as well, you have to like sit and then you have to think about your life and you have to think about the interactions with the people who are writing your LORs, and then you have to, like, you have to figure out that this is the point that I want to highlight in my LORs. So I think that was the process. LOR resume, I think it's common across all colleges. So that's a one-time mehnat. But I think the essays, repeated reviews, so start early because it's a time-taking process.
right, right. Well, thank you so much. So basically, just to recap, what Maitri was saying is there are a few different documents you have. You have, of course, the essays, you have your resume, and you have your letters of recommendation. Certain programs require two, certain programs require one. Rarely do programs require three. And then there are, of course, some other elements, like, for example, certain schools require video essays, and some people require post or pre-interview reflection essays, and so on and so forth, right? So it's very kind of diverse set of scope of work that you are required to put in when you're applying to some of these top programs. So coming back to your process and overall experience, what do you say, Maitri, would be your key learnings, or what would you do differently? And related to that, since we have a lot of people viewing this particular video, what advice would you provide to future applicants?
Right. So, in terms of key learning, I'll be very honest here. I just got my results 2 days back, so I haven't really analyzed it so much as to extract my key learning. Just other than the fact that if you're planning to apply in a very structured manner, like it's very easy to get lost in this process, especially because there are so many things. These are all new and they are all very overlapping the deadlines. So be structured in your process. Second, get it reviewed by somebody who is reliable, like, and not by somebody like, by means a collection of 5 to 6 reliable individuals. If you can, just have a team who can review it for you, because that's important. Because at times you feel that what you're writing is absolutely beautiful, mind blowing, but in reality, why my writings in the first few drafts were a complete trash. So you have to get it reviewed by somebody reliable. I think yeah. So, and just one piece of advice that I would like to have is plan early, because MBA is not something that you can just come up 3 months before the deadline and say that, oh, I'll apply. Because I think profile building requires a lot of time, because as much as consolidating your profile and materials takes time, more than that, the building of the profile takes time. So decide a bit early and work according to that. And in terms of emotional quotient, because I think that's something very important for me, so I'm going to talk about it a bit. In terms of emotional quotient, I would again say that we are young, we have nothing to lose. If we see a fair chance, if you believe in yourself or people around you are believing in yourself, give it a fair shot.
Excellent advice. So I think there you have it, right? From Maitree about what are some of the things that she did and that she has advised you to do. So I think with that, we are toward the end of our discussion today. We thank you so much, Maitree, for sharing all of your insights and all the very best wishes for a wonderful admit and of course for a future career as well, right?
Thanks.
So with that, I also wanted to share that you can reach out to Maitri on LinkedIn. I'm sure she would be happy. She's just a very wonderful person to interact with. So I'm sure that you will have a fun time really getting, to understand how she went through the process. The video, of course, has provided you some snippets of it, but of course, you can reach out to her there. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Sumeet Verlekar. And then finally, if you wish to connect with me or my team regarding your specific profile or you want to enroll, you can reach out to our website. It's given in the logo behind me. It's www.tilden.in. And you can also reach out to us on email, connect@tilden.in, which is connect@tilden.in. All of this stuff, all this information will be provided in the description of this video. So with this, I think we will end this interview. And thank you again, Maitri.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
And all the very best to all of you for your future. May you make the decision that is right for you. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.